Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Getting Dirty in the Neverwinter Nights 2 Toolset. Alright, the next one, this is actually a pretty small bug, but we are still playing Path of Evil, and we're in the Almasi Abides estate. This is the same place where you fight the two clay golems up here, and then you kill off Almasi over here and her cronies. And then over here in this other room, there is a spell book that belongs to her that you're supposed to steal, part of a quest. And one thing that I noticed about this spell book, once you pick up the spell book placeable is still here, but it says you picked it up. So what I want to do is fix that, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So when you click on this, you're going to get this dialogue. Take the spell book, and then you go through all this conversation stuff going on here. And let's just continue through this. And then toward the end, it's going to say you picked up the spell book. Right, yeah, here we go. You have taken the spell book. And if you continue on, now we have the spell book, and it says you acquired the item. We have the spell book in our inventory. It's right here. But there's still an instance of the spell book on this table right here. What I want to do is I want to get rid of that. So you can actually click on this again and do the convo again, but not the whole convo, but you shouldn't be able to do this. If you picked up the spell book, this spell book should be gone. And I think we're going to fix that. Alright, so let's go into the tool set and take a look at it. Alright, here we are back in the tool set, so we're going to take a closer look at this issue here at hand. We are in the Pol Muzad module folder. And the area in question was the Almasi estate, so right up here there's an area called Muz Almasi. So let's open up that one. And my guess is the only thing we're going to be dealing with is the dialogue itself, dealing with that spell book. Let's see, where are we? Here's the two clay golems that you're going to have to kill, and I believe over here is the wizard that you got to kill. Yeah, Almasi is right there. But the spell book in question is over here on the opposite side. And it's a little dark in here again, so let's go up here to the day-night setting, and let's set it to daytime, see if we can get it a little bit brighter to see something in here. Alright. And right there's the book. So let's take a closer look at this thing. Yeah, it's got a tag, Muz Almasi Spellbook 2. And let's look at the scripts. It's got an unused script. This one here is a custom script made by Kamal. Let's take a closer look at this one. Let's open it up. Alright, get last used by... Okay, yeah, as soon as you use this thing, it's going to start a conversation file, and it's running it off of an object with this tag. And my guess is that, yeah, see this thing, this object right here, this is an eye point. I'll move this over here. It looks kind of like a waypoint, but this is not actually a waypoint, although you can use it as a waypoint if you want to. But this is actually a placeable. A lot of times this is used like to replicate a character that's speaking in a conversation, but it has no physical body or anything. Consider it like an invisible character that doesn't move or do anything. So that's what he's using this for. So, and as you can see, here's the conversation that's attached to that eye point as well. And let's go back to that script. Yeah, it's going to start this conversation with this name right here. And it looks like it's the same, yeah, it's the same conversation that is actually attached to the eye point. So, alright, let's go back to the script, and let's just double click this, and let's hit Control B to open up that conversation file. Alright, here is the conversation file. This appears to be Almasi's spellbook is how it starts off, and it looks like, yeah, it's just this one big branch right here. Yeah, it goes through all these checks right here. This is a lot of stuff going on. And the reason it looks so big is because it's doing a lot of skill checks. And you can see that by looking into conditions. If you scroll up, you can see all these skill checks right here. There's a whole bunch of them. Alright, and let's go all the way to the top. Now it says take the spell book. Now that one's not going to show if you actually have the spell book in hand, but remember, once you pick up the spell book, you can still get into this conversation, and that placeable is still there. And the placeable I'm talking, we can close out of this, we don't need to see this anymore. The placeable I'm talking about is this actual spell book right here. The placeable item that's on this desk. I want to destroy that. So let's see what's going on in here. I want to go to the spot where you actually pick up the spell book. Alright, right here. The wizard reaches the end of the maze and the illusion fades. You take the spell book. At that point, let's take a look at the action scripts here. At that point, there's a GA give item script. That script is going to actually give you the book and put it in your inventory. That's this one right here. And then there's also a journal update as well. That's this one right here. That updates your journal. Now, I want to add a new one. So let's go ahead and come down here and click the add button. It's going to make you a blank spot right here. And then let's hit the drop down, and we're going to look for a script that has the word destroy in it. So let's filter that. Alright, there it is. GA destroy. This is a really common action script right here. Double click on that. You can use this script to destroy just about anything in the game. Not everything, but a lot of stuff. Hit the refresh button so you can get all the parameters showing up in here, and then slide this over so you can see a little bit of what's going on. And let's get us some real estate here again. Let's slide this up, and let's slide this up a little bit farther too so we can see the GA destroy script. Let's take a look at this one. The description says right here, this script destroys objects. Exactly what it says on the tin. Alright, so we have some parameters here. We have the s-tag string, and we have an instance, which is an integer, and a delay, which is a float. Alright, so let's take a look at a tag. The tag of the object to destroy. And you notice you can pass in multiple tags here separated by commas. So you don't have to keep making multiple destroy, like, you know, add another destroy in here. Let's see, you don't have to do that. And I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about. So you don't have to have multiple destroys in this. You can just put it all in one line. So to get rid of that, just make sure the one you want to get rid of is highlighted, and then hit the remove and then get rid of it. Alright, and now on to the next parameter, the instance of the object to destroy. Pass -1 to destroy all instances. Pass 0 to destroy the first instance. So right now it defaults to 0, so we're just going to leave it like that. And the delay before destroying the object. This is a float, which is not an integer, so it's like a fractional thing. So you can put 1.5, which means 1.5 seconds in this case. That's why it's a float. But we're going to leave that at 0 because we just want it to destroy as soon as this script fires. Now the string we're going to actually put in here is going to be the tag of this placeable, of the actual spellbook itself. So right here's the tag. So let's just copy that. And then we're going to plop it right in there. And just hit refresh again so you can get it all in there to see. Now something I need to tell you about the scripts that are all on the same node like this. The way the engine works, it fires from the top down. So it's going to fire this script first, then it's going to fire this script, then it's going to fire this script. Now if you want to change that, let's say I wanted to destroy the item first for some reason. In this particular case, it doesn't really matter in what order these fire, but if you wanted this destroy script to fire first, just make sure it's highlighted, and you see these buttons here, it says move up and move down. You can move these up in the order that you want them to fire from. Okay, so keep that in mind. There's some guys I think that don't understand what's going on here when it comes to that, but it's going to fire from the top script and then work its way down. Alright, so the way it's set up right now, the destroy script is going to fire first, then the give item script, and then the journal script. Alright, but like I said, in this particular instance, it doesn't matter what order they're in right now, because it's all going to happen simultaneously, and there's no reason to have it in any specific order, unless for some reason you wanted it to be, but we're going to leave it just like it is right now. Let's see, let's take a closer look at this destroy script. So let's look down here in the preview screen. Let's see what's going to happen, and let's give it a little bit more real estate up here. Let's move this up and move this up. Alright, so essentially what this destroy script is doing, it's looking for all those tags, and it's going to destroy that object. Now, as you can see, this next parameter right here is set to 0, or you could set that to 1 too, which means just the first instance. And like we said before, if the instance is 0, it'll default to destroy the first instance it finds. Okay, so 0 in this case is the same as 1 if you put a 1 in there. Alright, Now, if you put -1 there, it's going to try to find all the objects that have the same tags and destroy them all. Alright, I'm pretty sure it's in the whole module. Let's take a quick look at the script here and see. Yeah, it's looking for everything in the whole module. As you can see, get object by tag. That checks everything in the whole module. Okay. Other than that, that's pretty much all it does, is to destroy objects. Now, there's some things it doesn't work on. I know for sure it doesn't work on encounters. It doesn't work on them. It doesn't work on doors, if I remember correctly. I don't know about static cameras, but I don't know why you'd want to destroy them. I'm thinking it would destroy a store, but I'm not entirely sure if you want to destroy a store. Waypoints, I think it does. Trees, it does not work on. And environmental objects, it doesn't work on. Environmental objects, those are actually placeables, but they're set to an environment, which means it only has a graphics, but there's no physicality to it, so you can't run scripts or anything like that off of those. It's just purely graphical. It sets those objects to nothing but graphics. Lights, it'll work on. Placed effects, I think that works on that. Object or effect helpers, no, that's not going to do anything like that. Hook points, it's not going to work on that either. Lights and sounds, I think it will work on those, but just be aware that if you're ever using that script, it doesn't work on everything, but most of the things it will. Alright, well, that's that, and I think that should be good to go. Let's see. Let's go ahead and save this right here. Let's hit Control-Shift-S, and that'll save it. Now, I'm pretty sure this is a module. This is a module dialog here, so we're looking for Moo's Almasi Spellbook. Let's take a look at all. Yeah, right there it is. Yeah, this is a module. So what I'm going to do, let's right-click on it and let's convert it to campaign. Alright, so now, yeah, I moved it down here to the bottom. As you can see, now there's a C on it, which means it's a campaign file, which means it's going to be save game compatible. So if we go back in there and test this, we should be good to go. Alright, so let's go back into game and see if it'll work. Okay, here we are back in the game. Here's the spellbook. Let's run this thing. Let's click on it and it'll fire off that dialogue. Take the spellbook. Alright, we're going to continue through this. Alright, and let's see. Let's go to Spellcraft. Let's run through all this until we get to the end. And now if you keep an eye on that, placeable right there, it should end up disappearing once we get it, once we take it. Alright, you take the spellbook. Now do you see that? It just disappeared. That's exactly what we wanted to do. As you can see, it's now gone. And that's the way it should be, because you actually have it in your inventory now. Okay, there shouldn't be another copy of it still sitting there on that desk. That's the way it should work. Alright, so that was another pretty easy one we can fix. Let's go back into the tool set and take a closer look at that dialogue. Alright, back into the tool set. Let's open up that dialogue file again. And let's take a closer look at this thing. Yeah, as you can see, there was a lot of dialogue going on here because there's a ton of skill checks going on. And like I mentioned earlier, you can see what skill checks are actually going on. But you can see this GC skill DC, and there's another one called GC skill rank. The difference between these two, let's come down here so we can take a closer look at them. Let's look at the conditions tab, and let's get us some more real estate again so we can see the preview window. Alright, this is a GC skill rank script right here. And this one is not doing a die roll or anything. It's just checking to see if a particular skill meets a certain rank level. Okay, like for example in this one, you can see the parameter for N skill 22, which equates to Spellcraft. As you can see, 22 means the Spellcraft skill, and the rank it's looking for is rank of 24. That's pretty damn high, by the way. Pretty damn high in this particular situation. So if you had that particular skill, in this, like I said, in this particular case, it's Spellcraft. If your Spellcraft skill is 24 or higher, then that's going to return as true for that condition, which means this particular node will show to the player. Okay. As you can see, this particular one says it's a high Spellcraft Skill option. Have the wizard teleport himself to the maze exit, which means you can bypass all this crap and go right to the end. If you got a really high skill check for spellcraft. All right, and the next one is a skill DC one. This one is actually doing a check. It's doing a die roll to see if you can make that DC. It's something similar. So you have the skill integer right here is 22, which is the same as the rank check. 22 is spellcraft, and you got to make a DC of 12. Okay, so this is actually doing a roll. So there's a chance you could fail this. Now you can see in the dialogue itself, there's an let's find one that's set up easier so we can identify. Here's a node that's doing a spellcraft check right here. As you can see, there's a NPC node for success, and then there's another NPC node for failure. Kambal set that up correctly. That's the way it should be if you're doing a DC check like that. So if you fail the check, it's going to go to this failure node. But if you pass the check, it's going to do the success node. And like we just looked at, if you come over here to the condition, here's the DC skill check. If you make that check, then that node is going to show. But if you don't make that check, then it's going to default to the next node, the next NPC node in the list, which is this one right here, which is a failure node. Okay, that's the way they should be set up. Okay, let's see what else is here we can talk about. Journal. Let's talk about journals. Let's take a closer look at this one. This is actually an action script. So let's go to our action tab. And let's see, let's click on this, and then let's bring this preview window up here a little bit higher. This one is actually set. This is where your journal updates actually take place, is through these scripts right here. There's other ways to update journals, but this is the primary one that you'll see through dialogue. And let's slide this over so you can see all the nodes here, or all the parameters I should say. Alright, now what this GA journal script is doing, you can see it's got a category tag, it's got an entry ID tag, it's got an all party members boolean and all players boolean, and there's another boolean that says allow override of higher. Okay, now where journals come into play is if you come up here and click on the view, and you're going to see a journal menu option here. Now when you're dealing with a campaign, you're always going to have it in a campaign journal. Now if you're only dealing with modules, and when I say that, we're talking about it is not a campaign, or it's only a module on its own. It's not in a campaign at all. Okay, then you're going to use this option right here, the module option. Now if it's set up as a campaign and you accidentally click module for some reason, let's go ahead and click on it and show you. It's going to be a blank journal because this one is set up as a campaign. So you have to use a journal that's in a campaign. Okay, so let's just close out of this one. Let's come back up here in the view and go into journal again. So let's click on the campaign one. Alright, there's all the quests in your journal. These are all the ones in the whole campaign. Alright, now if you want to get a better view of this, use this collapse all button. It'll collapse them all so you can only see the titles of the quests. And if you want to sort it by the name, you just can click the text title up here, and it'll sort these quests by name. Or if you want to set it by tag, just click it up here in this tag title right here, and it'll sort everything by tag. That's the most common one right there. So as you can see, all these journals have a tag, and that's edited down here, so you can change the tag or whatever you want to do like that. And if you expand it, these are all the entries within that particular quest. And as you can see, there's IDs now on each of these entries. These are going to be used too. So if we go back into that dialogue, here's the tag of the journal, and then here's the entry point that you want it to progress to. Now if you wanted to update everybody's journal in your party, just leave this set to 1. And if you're in a multiplayer game and you want to set like you got other human players, if you want all their journals to update too, then set this to 1. But right now we're going to leave this. If you're running a single player game, don't set this to 1. Keep this on 0. If you're running a single player game, just leave this set to 1 and set this to 0. But if you're in a multiplayer game, then you might have to do a little finagling, because sometimes it doesn't update everybody's journals. Okay, But in a multiplayer game, or in a single player game, leave it exactly like this. Default it to 1 and then leave this one to 0. Now with this one over here, we're allow override higher. Let's say we had a journal. Let's find one that's got a bunch of entries in it. Here's one with multiple entries. The way these journal entries are supposed to work, they're supposed to go in order of the entry. But let's say I wanted to use, let's say we were up at entry 31 already on this particular quest, but later on I wanted to go back to entry 21 for some reason. If you want to do that, then you have to set this override higher to 1, because otherwise it won't let you override. It won't let you go back to a lower journal entry if there was already a higher journal entry put into your journal. Okay, so keep that in mind. Set this to 1 if you want to set a journal entry back to a lower entry. Okay, like I said, most of the time they should go in order from lowest to highest in these journal entry IDs right here. Let's see, that's probably enough about journals. Let's see what else we got going on here. I think we talked about check item scripts already. And give item, that does exactly what it says. It gives the item with this tag. And actually, now this one here doesn't actually use tags. This one uses template names. If you look into, let's see, let's find some item right here. Let's look in some blueprints. Let's go to items and let's just click on Abia's loot. Now as you can see, there's a tag here, and then there's a template resref, and there's also a resource name. 9 times out of 10, these are all going to be the same, so you shouldn't have a problem. But there are some instances where the resref is not the same as the tag or the resource name. And if I remember right, the resource name is the actual file name. So if you look in the folders, for example, and look for this blueprint, that's going to be the actual name of the file. Okay, but like I said, 9 times out of 10, these are all going to be the same. But just keep in mind, sometimes they are not. I just want to bring that to your attention, because that will really screw things up, and you won't be able to get this to work if you're not actually using the actual template name, if the template name is different from the tag. Okay, so keep that in mind. Alright, now getting back into this, and here's a quantity, and if you want to give it to all the party members, you can set this to 1 and it'll give it to all the party members instead of just the guy that's speaking. Let's see what else we got going on here for scripts. Here's some custom scripts that Kamal probably made. Let's take a closer look at these. And what has he got going on here? Okay, these are damaging scripts. So if you fail any of these skill checks, it looks like it's going to damage you. Let's take a closer look at that. Like for example, this one here, effect damage 40. This thing's going to damage you with magical damage, and it's going to damage you with an amount of 40 damage points. That's what's going on in this script. So don't fail those skill checks. And let's see, that one's a Spellbook 5. Yeah, these are all damaging scripts. This one here is a Spellbook 4 one. Let's take a look at that one. Alright, the only difference here is the damage is slightly less. This one is only doing 30 points of damage instead of 40. Which is still pretty damn high. Let's see what else we have here. Here's a Spellbook 1. What does this one do? This one only does 15 points of damage. Okay. But either way, it's damaging you if you fail those skill checks. That's what's going on here in this dialogue. Yep, all skill checks here. Oh, here's another one here. A class level check. Let's see if there's anything else going on down here before we look into that one. Let's take a closer look at that one. This one here is actually checking to see if you possess a particular class. Let's take a closer look at that. This is a condition, so let's go to the condition tab, and let's take a closer look at that one. It's looking for class integer number 37. So if you scroll down in here, it'll usually tell you what 37 means in the description. 37 is a dragon disciple. So if you have a level in dragon disciple, that would return true in this particular node. and it will show to the player. But this one here, actually I think this one might be bugged. Yeah, it's looking for a level 1. And the target is blank. That's okay, because that means it's going to default to the PC speaker. If you look in the description, it'll usually tell you if it's blank. Yeah, if blank, then use PC speaker, which is fine. So whoever your character is that's actually being selected in this dialogue, that's who this is going to do the check on. Alright, now in this particular case, I don't think this is actually the way Kamal wanted to do this, though. As you can see, it's looking for a level check, and it's set to 1. In this particular instance, that means only 1 level. What if this guy is a Dragon Disciple level 2? You should still want this node to show if it's level 2. Yeah, let's see. Red Dragon Disciple class option. You have embraced your draconic heritage. You greet the dragon and are granted passage. Yeah, this should be any level of a Dragon Disciple. And if you look in the description right here, it kind of explains things here. The level to check for this class, you can specify less than, greater than, equal to, or not. That's what that bang means. So for example, if you have less than 12, this returns true if the level in that class is less than 12. Or if it's just 9 or equals 9, then that returns true if the level in the class is exactly 9. And if the level check is bang 0, this returns true if the level in the class is not equal to 0. Alright, the default value if left blank is not equal to 0. So, yeah, I think what Kamal really intended to do was either leave this blank like that, or make it a bang 0, which means in this particular case, if it's bang 0 or if it's completely blank, that means you have any amount of levels as a Dragon Disciple. I think that's what he really intended. Now let's take a quick look in the script. I want to check something. Alright, if the level check equals blank, then the level check equals bang 0. Okay, yeah. So bang 0 in here is the same as leaving it blank, just like that. I think we're going to leave it just like that, because I'm pretty sure that's what Kamal intended. He wanted to check if there's any level in Dragon Disciple, which is 37. Alright, yeah, let's leave it like that. Okay. Let's close out of this, and I think we're done with this, actually. If you guys got any questions, leave any comments in the comment section below, and leave me some likes if you like all this stuff. Thumbs it up for me, please. That all helps me out. So, alright, I think I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. We'll see you guys in the next episode.